Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Sabota, and I am a fourth year doctoral student in the Educational Leadership and Policy program. For my researcher spotlight, I will be presenting Jerry Rosiek. He is a researcher, professor of education studies, and a public activist. In order to understand how I structured this spotlight, it's important to see why I selected Jerry Rosiek and what I was searching for as I read. I am coming to narrative research with an interest of how narrative can help me understand social justice issues, specifically related to critical feminist theory. My own work focuses on educational institutions and the impact of gender and gender bias on the social identity of male and female school leaders. I was intrigued with Jerry's research because of his emphasis on social justice issues intersected with educational institutions, focusing on resegregation and institutional racism, the effect of educational policies, research, and education reforms, and the effect of heteronormativity on students and teachers' content knowledge. Jerry uses narrative representations in social inquiry, primarily through case studies, to promote equality of educational opportunity to underserved students. So, who is Jerry Rosiek? Jerry holds a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy from Texas A&M University. Jerry also has a Bachelor of Science in Physics from Texas A&M University. He received his PhD with a minor in philosophy from Stanford University, and he started his career as a high school math and physics teacher at Pearsall Independent School District in Texas. He is currently a professor in the Department of Education Studies at the University of Oregon. An interesting fact about Jerry is that his passion for education led him to run for the Eugene School District School Board in Oregon, in which he was defeated in the at-large general election on May 16, 2017. Jerry's research interests focus on the connections between the institutional and discursive structures that enable and disable teachers' practice, and the type of preparation teachers need if they are to navigate those contexts constructively. Jerry uses narrative modes of representation through qualitative research to reveal social justice issues such as resegregation and institutionalized racism, and the effect on underserved students and the relationship of pragmatic philosophy and teacher practical knowledge theory. Jerry's research career includes 44 publications and one book. According to ResearchGate, Jerry has been cited 656 times. Jerry's first article, Teacher Knowledge in Transforming the Social Studies Curriculum, was published in 1993. Jerry's first book, titled Resegregation as Curriculum, The Meaning of New Segregation in U.S. Public Schools, was published in 2016 and won the American Association for Teaching and Curriculum for an outstanding book in education. The book is based on a 10-year study on the curriculum effects of the racial segregation of a public school in the Southeast United States. Rosiek and Kinslow examine the way this new racial segregation is rationalized and the psychological effect it has on students of all races within that community. Using critical race theory, agent realism, and contemporary pragmatist semiotics, the authors expose a hidden curriculum that has negative repercussions on students' identity formation, self-worth, conceptions of citizenship, and social hope. Rosiek's first article about narrative, titled Analogical and Narrative Representations, Explorations in the Pedagogical Content Knowledge of Mathematics, was published in 1993. Rosiek's most recent narrative work was a collaboration with Jimmy Snyder titled Narrative Inquiry and New Materialism: Stories as Not Necessarily Benign Agents. This article focuses on agental realism, in which the world is viewed as being composed of various forms of protean non-human agency. The article explores the connections between agential realist philosophy and social science research that employs narrative forms of analysis and representation. The goal is to assist narrative researchers in avoiding oversimplification by tracing out different strands in these literatures and mapping out points of connection and disconnection. Rosiek's collaborative narrative work has been with Jean Clandidin within the Handbook of Narrative Inquiry, Mapping a Methodology. In Rosiek's contribution, he focused on the real differences of opinions of epistemological, ideological, and ontological commitments of narrative inquirers, as well as real differences with those who do not identify as narrative inquirers. Rosiek and Clandidin construct a map allowing researchers to locate themselves on the landscape of narrative inquiry methodologies. Another theme of Rosiek's work involves emotional scaffolding. The term emotional scaffolding first appeared in the article Emotional Scaffolding, an exploration of the teacher knowledge at the intersection of student emotion and subject matter. Rosiek's other article, Emotional Scaffolding: The Emotional and Imaginative Dimensions of Teaching and Learning, focus on the use of metaphors, analogies, and narrative to frame a lesson in a way that improves the emotional dimension of students' encounters with the subject matter. Teachers deal with students as whole human beings, according to Rosiek, and need to respond to them as emotional, moral, social, and cultural, as well as cognitive beings. A third theme includes disrupting heteronormative subjectivities of pre-service teachers. A summation of Rosiek's work in heteronormativity includes addressing the discursive content that reproduces heteronormative silences. Rosiek emphasizes that in teacher education programs, all new PhDs should be taught to name patriarchal and heteronormative silences in their curriculums as a basic component of professional competence. Rosiek's narrative focus includes education, teacher pedagogy, and social justice. His influences encompass agental realism, pragmatist philosophy with influences from Charles Sanders Peirce, William James, John Dewey, and George Herbert Mead. Also, feminist new materialism, in which he has worked with Karen Berard. Critical race theory, with influences from Derek Bell. Anti-Blackness theory, and indigenous philosophy. Rosiek's contributions include advocacy for social justice, specifically institutionalized racism, research on contemporary developments in pragmatic philosophy, and advancing narrative approaches. Also, Rosiek's emphasis is on posthumanism and counter-storytelling, and he uses narrative modes of representation to emphasize social justice issues, teacher pedagogy, and education. Key takeaways includes Rosiek's impact of posthumanism and critical race theory on the evolving nature of racism, the emotional scaffolding practice within teacher education curriculum, his research on resegregation and the hidden curriculum, and also querying teacher education curriculum. Here's the reference list I used to study Jerry Rosiek's work and develop the themes within this PowerPoint presentation of Jerry's narrative work. It has been my pleasure to present Jerry Rosiek, and please feel free to contact me with any questions. Thank you so much for your time.